morning, inmates, comrades and survivors. Today is the dealer-to-dealer ride that's been put on by Indian. Damien's organised a great ride from Epping, which is they're launching, it's a new, I think, dealership workshop, to Ballarat, which is a terrific dealership. So probably about a 2.5 hour ride. But first, Epping for breakfast and meet up with a whole bunch of other riders. Everyone's welcome, you don't have to have an Indian. And of course it's raining. It's only scattered showers, so I think she'll be good. So now we're going down the Bolivian death driveway again in the wet. And Damien's on his brand new Challenger. Getting down that driveway is not such an issue, but getting up, I was getting better, but the last time I really stuffed it up, I nearly bloody took out all these agapanthus. That would be no good, wouldn't it? You can't take out someone's agapanthus. So just to give you a bit of an update, I've been working furiously on the American and Canadian 3-month tour we're soon embarking on. So the objective now is to find a freight company. We've been talking to so many for so many months. Rules are changing, can't get into Canada so easy now, so we're back from going to Vancouver. We're now looking at Seattle or maybe still Portland. We're still sort of waiting for the freight companies to do that. And then getting into America is not so bad. I mean, after you arrive, the customs and everything. The most difficult bloody country is fucking Australia. Because our laws are so strict on getting into this country. I even rang up the department that you have to talk to, and even I said, look, we're just shipping our bikes over, we're doing an 11-week tour and we want to bring them back. We're not importing bikes to sell and all the stuff that's on your website. And even the woman really didn't know what to suggest. So it's a bit tricky organised. Now it's raining. Well, my camera's battery's a little bit flat, so what I'm going to do is stick it in Damien's bike to charge on the way to Epping. So I definitely won't be filming any of the ride in there, but it's nothing to film anyway. It's just highway. So I've got my Indian riding pants on today. Unlike the other day when I wore those check things, everyone thought I was in my pyjamas. If only you knew how much those friggin' things cost. Just Google search Magnolia Pearl. And yesterday I went to my favourite shop here and I ended up buying another pair. Can't believe it. They look like I've dragged them out of a dumpster and splashed paint on them. And they cost a fortune. Okay, so yes, I've talked about America. It's all coming together, but now we're at the pointy end. And we really need to any flights yet until I know the bikes are booked on a boat and can get there and get back. Because if we can't get the bikes there, then we have to really assess whether the trip can go ahead. And it's been a real job finding a freight forwarding company that will ship. We've got a 20-foot container that we've got 3 bikes and a trailer in. Just getting them to commit to a date. We've got a ship sailing then. Got to have it packed 3 days before. So we're hoping that they'll arrive in Seattle probably 5 days before we arrive. Pay for a bit of storage. And from Seattle, we're just going to basically get back up towards Vancouver and pick up the route that I'd planned before when we were thinking we were coming into Vancouver. Might bypass Vancouver. Video, but just to remind you, that whole trip's going to be documented from the moment we start putting those bikes on that ship. I'm going to try and do little 10-minute episodes of each day if I can. So, I'm not asking you to sort of give up too much of your life. End, where we're just stopping for 15 minutes. Got a big crowd. It's about 30 bikes, don't you think?
Yep, 30.
Come up there. The boys. Everyone that gets filmed gives me permission to film them, don't you?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And if I don't get permission, I ask after I've done the video, is it okay? And if they say no, I take it out. Simple. And I don't use people to publicise my videos. Fuck's sake.
You just kinda wasted my precious time, so don't think twice, it's alright.
Well, we're here in Wood End and there's a market, so naturally I had to... Got a 15-minute stop here before we head to Ballarat, and it's a farmer's market, and someone just happened to be playing Bob Dylan. It's got to be a sign, right? Well, we're about 3 k's out of Ballarat now to where we end up at the Ballarat Indian dealership, where they're putting on a bit of a barbecue lunch. With a beautiful ride in. Ballarat's quite a quaint little place. I mean, we've had no rain, a couple of spits, but it's been a bit chilly in places. But so it's, I mean, they're all cool little cottages along here. That was a good ride. I didn't know you were in front of me. I thought I didn't know where you were. I got room there.
I've wanted to see this thing for years.
There you go, have you?
And I finally made it.
So we're here at the Ballarat Indian dealership, and these guys, they've put on pies and cakes and things, and you know me with my mince pies, and this gentleman here who we're going to meet makes them himself. Is that right? This is your own recipe, mince pie. What's
Noel
the story?
Stewart from Stewart's Bakery.
Story?
We've been in. Yep.
The pies are great. Well done.
Oh, that's good.
Well done. Sorry, what was your name?
Daff.
Daff's from what's your...
Christian motorcyclist.
Christian motorcyclist, and
It's a Valkyrie.
the Valkyrie. Oh, and the sidecar. Wow, that's groovy. I had a sidecar with a Royal Enfield, but I don't think it was big enough to manage it, and it took me about 300 k's till it clicked, and I go, okay, I get it now, and I loved it.
Yep.
Took a while, but you know, once you get into it. Where are we? Kangaroo Ground, the Dark Horse Cafe, Wine and Produce. Been wanting to try this. Okay, I've convinced Damien that he can wash the bikes. I'm going to go down to the supermarket and get something for dinner tonight. Something that I want to introduce to my channel. I hope you don't mind. I know you watch me because of the motorbike adventures, I think, and maybe the makeovers. You may or may not be aware that I do a little bit of artwork, and I'm into faces and abstract faces. And some of you may be aware of this thing called the Deadwood series. If you haven't watched it, I highly encourage you to watch it. There's 3 series of Deadwood, and then they do a movie, Deadwood the movie, which is set 10 years after the last series finishes. And it's all based on historical characters, some fact, a little bit of fiction, I would imagine. But the scripting is amazing. It's almost Shakespearean in the way they speak. And I love it. I just watched it for a second time, and I got more out of it the second time. So what I've decided to do is do the characters of Deadwood in my abstract faces. Now, each one of these comes with, once they're framed, they'll come with the picture of the character in real life and one of their famous quotes. That's George Hurst. For anyone that's watched it, George Hurst is a prick, actually. But I have got them here, and because they're abstract, it's hard to you can't tell who they are. But when I put the picture of the person, the character up, you'll see elements of that person. You'll pick up elements. This one's actually Calamity Jane in the show. So, and this one's Al Swearingen. So he is one of my favourite characters. So I have about 16 pieces. This Mr. Wu, you know, the Chinese that sort of settled in Deadwood back in the day. They did all the laundry. They also had pigs where people used to kill people and give them to the Chinese to feed their pigs. There's another one. And so what I'm going to do, there's Seth Bullock, is Doc Cochran. This is probably I like this one the best, I think. And I've got 5 more that are up in Sydney. I'll bring them down. So I'm hoping to... hoping to do a bit of an exhibition. The other thing that I've done when I was in Italy is I did what I call the Italian series, and I did a number of faces, and I'd see people on the street, I'd take their picture, and I'd do an abstract face of them. This gentleman you're seeing now is one of our waiters in Florence. One of my favourites. And when I don't see any nice faces or interesting faces during the day, I search the internet. So you all would be familiar with The Godfather and The Sopranos. So this is Al Pacino from The Sopranos. So I wanted to keep that Italian theme going. There's another waiter and another waiter. So I have about 6. This is another character from The Sopranos. I forgot. Another character from The Sopranos. This is a gentleman in the market stalls in Bologna. And it's just another Italian face that I saw somewhere. So I have about, let's say by the time I finish each series, there should be 20 pieces in each. But what's exciting is my next series is going to be based on a show that I had written that had never got up. For some of you may remember that I've said once before that I wrote and produced these musical shows called the Rockumentary series, and it was based on rock icons. I'd write their story from birth to death, and during the show I'd have a band and we'd tell the story, play some of the popular songs, all the while there's imagery and stuff going on, a bit like a live documentary, which is why I called it a rockumentary. Anyway, I wrote this other show that never saw the light of day because I lost everything in COVID. And instead of me doing a musical, because I'm not going back to that world, it's too much work, I'm now going to paint the characters from a show that I wrote called The Poets of Peace and Protest, which is Dylan, Cohen, Baez, Steppenwolf, Crosby, Stills, Nash, all those troubadours, male and female, from the 70s that wrote great songs of peace and protest. So that's my next series. So I hope you don't mind me sort of gate crashing a motorcycle vlogging channel with some of my artwork, and I'd really like to do a little bit more on this. So you can always ignore the videos if I do one on my artwork, but I want to do one on the Deadwood series, and I want to share with you some of the scripting from these characters. It's hilarious. I've got to say, it's quite foul, the language, that series. Doesn't offend me, but I know it offends some. Every second word they say, they're just calling each other cocksuckers. I actually called the series The Cocksuckers Reimagined, but some people thought that was a little bit too much, a bit more conservative perhaps, so anyway, we'll see about that. Okay, well look, this video is a hodgepodge, I know. It was a terrific event from the dealer to dealer ride.
then,
There might be a couple more videos. We've got Silverton and Broken Hill to do before we head off overseas. So until then, take care, everybody. Bye.
And if I was you, or any cocksucker with you... For your information, Mr. Millinery Sample Suitcase Cocksucker.